BJ Deliria is what you go by, and I know you're a VJ. You are a art teacher, and you are a metaverse participant, NFT creator. Is there anything else I'm missing?
I mean, I put on multiple hats. I will say definitely more than that, but maybe as we walk through, today we
Yeah.
can discuss.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Thank you for having me again.
Of course. So I'm gonna open up with I'm just gonna get right to it. Get to tough questions. For anyone listening who because we're in that moment of time right now where people the metaverse is happening and people just are very unaware. The vast majority of people are just very unaware. They don't really care yet because the tech in the market is recently opened up. This is very new territory, and usually takes a while for widespread adoption to happen because they have to get better at they have to develop the user experience. They have to get it right, and they have to just create more awareness over time. So for anyone listening, artists, non-artists, what's the reason to get involved in the metaverse?
Well, first, to describe the metaverse, I would say a definition or a common understanding that I would advise people to think of, when they think of the metaverse, is thinking about digital spaces. Because, there's within this culture, there are people who say metaverses. And there's a big, argument about there's only one metaverse and many metaverse platforms. So there's communities and sub-communities because of all these different platforms. But the concept for me, for my understanding and how I like to explain it, is digital spaces. So you can have a metaverse or a digital space experience through one platform, or through your cell phone, or through your VR glasses, or through your computer. So when thinking about these digital spaces, I think of the evolution of social media and the interconnection that we have through the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons why I think that people should be on board with this technology is because it is the way of the future. And I think that, for example, if we think about the internet when it first hit, what I truly believe is that education systems, the government, everybody dropped the ball on education around the internet. And basically that education was given, by social norms, or by your parents. There wasn't really an integrated art education or education curriculum standard established by any country where they said, okay, we're going to educate children on the internet, how it works, how we can use it, and proper education around it.
Yeah.
So when I remember when I first interacted with the internet, it was on my own. In my computer's household, you had to unplug the phone so that the internet worked.
Yeah.
And it was it was a cool experience, but I know that no one held my hand.
Yeah.
And I think that I do, now as an art educator and working within pedagogy, I understand that at that time there was no pedagogy being applied to the internet. And so when I first discovered Web3, NFT, blockchain, metaverse, all these worlds, it reminded me of the time that I discovered the internet. And I believe that now we have a second chance to apply education within this newfound world. And so that's what I feel like it's so important to bring about education so that people understand the technology and they participate in it. Because I believe that something that COVID showed us is that a business that was not connected to the internet and could not do delivery did not simply survive. So I believe that in the future, businesses, companies, artists who are not working within the blockchain technology are not going to survive economically and viably in the future. So I think that right now we are building the infrastructure of the future. And if you can get a hold of it and you can start thinking about how you can integrate this technology into your project, you will be ahead of the curve when this becomes the norm. So yeah, that would be like my main talking point is that this technology is very similar to what the internet was many years ago, and we shall not, drop the ball. We should bring about education and community, and the wonderful thing is that it's happening, because it's very you need to actually be fully involved in it as a participant of the technology. And I think that everybody is well aware of the education, the onboarding. I think that people are, thankfully not dropping the ball as we all did, back when the internet started. And now this technology, blockchain, is being taught actually in schools, in universities. There's a lot of education around.
But probably not at the elementary level.
Not mainstream and not. I say it is not mainstream right now, but it's coming.
Yeah, because I mean, when you were talking about the lack of education on the internet, and I was just recalling childhood. I remember I did have a computer class in high school. I mean, not high school, in elementary school, but it was just funny because I didn't have one in high school. You would think that as you get further ahead, I didn't have another computer class until college, where they taught you how to do Google searches, which was really
right. Cool. I remember one of my first computer classes. They were teaching us how to use Word, and Excel, and that was a big deal.
And Oregon Trail was a big thing. Are you from New York?
No, I'm from Mexico City.
Okay, you from Mexico? Okay,
born and raised.
Okay. So, but here we had this little game called Oregon Trail, which was I think the point was to just get kids using computers with a video game basically, and yeah, it was just this very, I don't know how to describe the game. You basically had to take this wagon and across a journey. I forget from where to where because it's so long ago, but you just had to make sure that you survived. Your people had to be fed, and your cattle would die. You had to make sure they were good. It was, you just had to get to your destination. I don't know if I ever beat it, or I might have once or twice. I don't know if anyone in the class
was this a game in school?
Yeah, in school.
Interesting.
Yeah, and. Oh, I did have one typing class freshman year of high school because I went to a private school freshman year of high school, and then I failed out and then went to public school for the next 3 years and graduated from public school. So that's also a thing of and I know something you're passionate about and something we'll probably get into is the allocation of resources and how education, some kids are going to get certain education because they're paying for it or their parents are paying for it. And a vast majority of kids and people of color are just not gonna have access to new information, and they're gonna be the last to learn about it in a structural setting like school. But everything you broke down is the way you put it is very eloquent and thought out. But what would, if could you put it maybe in like less like could you put it in simpler terms just for people to understand of if you were trying to just sell people on like the metaverse is the future, like why should I get involved, like how is it the future? You said a pretty big statement on like if like that artists aren't going to be able to survive even if they're not like involved in the blockchain in the future. So like, yeah, could you just like break down like why like yeah, why is it the future? How is it going to take over? And yeah, why get involved now?
Well, if I can think of like a example for people to understand easier, would be to think about Bjork, which I'm sure everybody knows. Bjork
A lot
has
of people don't know Bjork. I know Bjork.
Bjork is, this avant-garde Icelandic artist, and she's been around forever. Maybe she's not super mainstream, but
There's no way she could be mainstream. She's
I,
like
I think
so
I mean in my world she's
creative.
so
No,
mainstream.
no, no, she's huge, but she's so like out there. She's like she does not make pop music, I feel.
One of the things that Bjork has always been like ahead of the curve. Like I remember going to a VR experience from her like 8 years ago. Like doing VR music experiences. Like that's nowadays like it's getting more and more popular. But she was doing this like almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And then 2 years ago, she did a Metaverse concert, which to me was like, okay, this is the first well-produced Metaverse concert that I'm attending to. And it was actually the first time that I saw that I experienced rain within the Metaverse. And that experience for me was like, okay, I've never thought about the elements, the nature elements happening in the metaverse. And so for that to be developed during a concert, like I knew that this was the future. I just got that feeling 2 years ago that this is what art musicians and artists are gonna do in the future. So, like I've been obviously a fan of Björk for a long time, and she has given me glimpse of the future at times, like the VR experiences, the metaverse concert experience. And so that makes me, think that, for us artists starting to explore the metaverse, it is a very new thing to do. And we probably, we haven't seen the fully advantage or the fully usage for music purposes. But we have some ideas of what that will look like. So, for example, a musician using this technology, they could be selling tickets through the blockchain, they could be selling experiences to a concert through the blockchain, they can provide personalized sessions with their audience through blockchain or NFTs. So the way an artist could connect to their audience, I think that it's more personable and you have a more direct contact because of the NFT or blockchain transaction that connects you to your audience. So like in simple terms to give you a soundbite, right now, when artists connect to the audience, they're using social media, and like you don't really know who is watching your videos. I mean, besides like a like there's no way for you to get back and connect directly with each audience member. But within a blockchain environment, those transactions or those blockchain interactions are permanent within the blockchain. So you can, reward your audience members. Like, for example, if I launch a music NFT and 60 people purchase that NFT, I can then, for example, say, okay, I'm going to give a concert in the metaverse. And if you have this NFT, you will be allowed to come in, and people automatically can gatekeep their content and only offer it to people holding certain NFTs. So in some way, you are, you have a direct tract and connection and relationship with your audience, with your patrons, with your followers, and everything is, printed on the blockchain, so it's easier for you to establish that. I think it's definitely a technology that it takes time for people to understand, use, and educate their audience on. But it's definitely happening. Like I see it happening with people in the space, and that's how I know that it's possible. So the possibilities are great, and also I think that brands understand this concept right now. There's like many brands building their own metaverse spaces because they want their audience to have a digital space where they can, almost like bring the brand into a lifestyle, into a digital lifestyle. So understanding that, it's definitely happening, that understanding, and the technology and the infrastructure is being built.
Yeah.
So once again, if an artist wants to jump on board, this is the time, this is the building time.
Yeah.
I think I don't know, it's hard for me to like, simplify more than that. I hope that.
Well, I think that's I think we have to, and I think like that's what like if you're trying to sell anything to anybody, like, and we're not trying to sell anything here, but I'm just saying like if you're really adamant about like this is the future, like and it's just an opportunity to sell people on the idea of like why is it the future. I mean, I'm curious on like why do you think, because when you say a statement like again like that it's going to be that that you're gonna have to like get involved in order to survive as an artist, like that, I think a lot of artists right now in this time period would be resistant to that. I think there are many who embrace new tech, but I mean we live in a very fast changing time, very uncomfortable time for a lot of people. People a lot of the time don't really love change, and especially in the case that like not just like artists, you know, artists and people of color who are also artists, like kind of get this twofold where like big capital, big companies kind of like take advantage of things we create and our resources, and like like Spotify and streaming, like for example, like Spotify is like the big bad wolf right now because they've kind of made it clear with their allocation of funds, like put your money where your mouth is, like that they don't really care about like artists making a living. I'm sure people at Spotify would probably argue against that, but again, I think the proof is just kind of in the history of like how things have gone down and decisions that they've made. And I think artists, it's clear how we feel.
I can make some comments
Yeah.
on this. I think it's historically black and brown people have been disadvantaged, and I think that this is one of the reasons why I became involved in terms of educating people about this or just talking about it in my native language. Because when I first heard about crypto art and all these terms was during the pandemic, and I think that was also another reason why it exploded during the pandemic. Everybody was in their houses, locked in, listening to Clubhouse, and all of this NFT 2021 movement really came from Clubhouse, and then soon after, Twitter Spaces emulated that live podcast experience that Clubhouse had, and everybody migrated from Clubhouse to Twitter. And those now we have this crypto Twitter world. And one of the things that I did back when I was very active in Clubhouse was to start a podcast series in Spanish. So it was called NFTianguis. And I did that for a couple years. And earlier we were talking about like doing these podcasts and how often you do them. And I remember I had one on Fridays and then one on Tuesdays. And everything was in Spanish. It was talking about, we were talking about the whole onboarding, definitions. Like we were trying to define in community what blockchain was, NFTs, DAOs, and all these terms. And for me, that was a great experience in terms of translating the technology and the information into Spanish in real time and bringing on board artists that, may have been shy when entering English-speaking spaces. So just providing a, safe space or a comfortable space for Spanish-speaking artists wanting to learn this technology, that was, I think, for me, it was a sort of like an educational service and work that I think it's not like I slowed down or I stopped, but it definitely morphed into something else. For example, that community that we built in Spanish in Clubhouse then migrated into this community project called NFTianguis, which was then carried over into Twitter. And then through there, we started doing activations and community projects like art residencies. And we actually used the metaverse to communicate and to interact because everybody was spread all over the world, like people from South America, North America, Europe, and we were all communicating in Spanish. So having a gallery in the metaverse where we could all come together, put our NFTs up, and interact with our avatars, that, type of usage of the technology and the tools to build community and at the same time spread information was definitely one of the best uses that I have seen of this technology in terms of spreading the information to underrepresented communities. And so that happened within the Latin community. I mean, I witnessed it. We all did it together. But I also saw that same energy of spreading the information to underrepresented communities. I saw that happening with like African American groups, Asian groups. Like we actually had interactions where we did partnerships or we did collabs. One of the first collaborations that I did in 2021 was a community-oriented art exhibition featuring Latina and Asian sisters. That's how we kind of promoted it because we wanted to feature art by Latin females and Asian, sisters. And we also did some of those exhibitions focused on minority groups. Like that I remember that was like type of energy that was also happening back in 21, 22. And so I feel like people that have been active in this space have also been conscious that this technology, at this point, it is a privilege to know about and to be able to use it and to integrate it because we are too early. And so it's important that if we have the opportunity to spread it around to underrepresented communities, that's the right thing to do. So I myself have been doing that since the beginning. And I try to align myself with people that are doing the same. So that's definitely happening, but it's definitely grassroots. Yeah, there's like so much like talk around the onboarding process and like what that means to for the
Yeah.
masses.
Yeah. I think what I was getting at was like there are people. There's a subgroup of people who have good reason to be skeptical, and then there's also a large group of people who, even without reason, just like don't necessarily love change. There's like the prototype of person like who just who finds comfort in things staying the same and things being the way that they are, and they're not the early adopters. Like they're really skeptical just in general of like anything new. So like what is the
But one of the things
like
that
what would you say to that person who's just like, yeah, I don't trust any of this shit? Like what and why do you think that like the old way of doing things like will become obsolete?
Well, one of the things that I think about technology in general is that technology doesn't really care if what you think about it. It actually just evolves exponentially. And, even though there's a lot of dialogue or, communication or people voicing their opinions, that's like noise to technology. We still have AI taking over and we have all these advancements in technology taking over and advancing like that.
But we talk about technology as if like it's uncontrollable, but really what it is capital.
Yeah.
It's like we believe that this is going to be a billion, potentially $1 trillion industry, and we're just investing in it now. And there is a certain like aspect of it where and I feel this too personally, whether or not I get involved or not, is it doesn't feel like there's a choice.
Yeah,
It feels
especially
like they're gonna make it so useful and so necessary, and like AI is a great example right now. Like we're already seeing it of like taking people's jobs, or like you have to learn AI now or you're gonna be left behind. It's like you just have to do it because the people who are these people are like tech giants are pumping money into it, and yeah, they're just making it so that yeah, you're gonna have to. Like,
Yeah, I mean, we have always had people that are skeptic about the new technologies.
Yeah.
That's always happened. I mean, I myself remember when cell phones, came out. Like, I remember I was very against having. I saw it as a tracker. Like I
oh
just
yeah,
thought my parents are going to track me. That they want to hand me a tracker, and
yeah,
I just remember I was like, no, I don't want it. And my sisters had a cell phone, and my rebellious way of like holding on to like my hippie ways was to say no to a tracker. But then obviously I gave in into iPhones and all of this. So I feel like in general, it's very normal for people to be stuck in the past or to have it's almost like melancholy and thinking of a better days. But to be honest with you, as an artist, I don't think that we have been living in a better way, on a better time than what we are living right now under, because this technology that we have access to is being democratized. Like we have never been in a time where you could, go on YouTube University, Wikipedia, and really have access to all the information. And also now, as artists, we have access to this technology, and like it's definitely a personal choice if you want to use it or not, but the choice is there. So for anyone not wanting to explore these new technologies, it's not like I'm trying to, convince anyone. It's just how I see the present and how I envision the future. And in my case, I just have always been technologically inclined. And I'm excited about finding out new tools and using them as part of my process to making art. And I think that if you see technology as a tool to integrate into your project or into your goals, you are going to have a better time moving on with the times, because the times are moving on, like things are happening. Like an artist might still, have maybe like a non-digital personal face-to-face interaction with their public, and that's okay. But that doesn't mean that the artists and the people who are using the technology and that are actually implementing it into their future events or projects, that doesn't mean that that's wrong. It's just different type of people, and at the end of the day, it is a resource that's there for us. It's an option. And I, in my personal point of view, if you want to have a project that will be, using technology that will be standard in the future, you should just, start learning basic terms and being familiar with it. I wouldn't even say, get on the metaverse right now, but start, getting close to some community, seeing what they're doing with the technology, and maybe that will get you to think about how you can use it for your own project.
Why do you think the current way of doing things will become obsolete? Like, why do you think that the future, like the blockchain and NFTs and the metaverse, why do you think that will be standard?
Well, right now, for example, earlier you were talking about Spotify, and I think that more people are realizing that big corporations are really working for their own interests more than for the independent artist. And I think that it is the independent artist, that the one that's going to benefit from Web3, because when you are using this technology to build your project, you become your own label. You are not going to sign a contract for a label to give you support. You can sign up every audience member through them supporting your project, and you can build your own community, and you basically get rid of the middleman, and you are interacting directly with the audience.
Well, what's the difference between Patreon right now and that? Because, like, I mean, not including, like, I know you can sell NFTs on Patreon, but that's just one feature. But you can, like, Patreon's a direct-to-consumer platform. Bandcamp is also, like, for music artists, like a direct-to-consumer platform. There's Instagram and YouTube subscriptions as well. Like, there's ways of, like, having a direct relationship with your audience and offering value that they feel is like worthy of them, like, giving you money for right now. So why would the blockchain, like, become the new norm when there are these, like, resources outside of, like, streaming? And
Yeah, I love Patreon, and I it's not against any Web2 platform.
yeah,
Like, I feel like it's not like Web3 and blockchain is against what is happening right now or what has been offered. It's more like it's the evolution. It's like where this is heading to, because all of these like YouTube and Bandcamp and SoundCloud, all of these are tools, for artists to connect to their audience. Yes, but this is all based on fiat or based on a traditional capitalist system and currency. And in the contrast with Web3 and blockchain tools is that it runs on cryptocurrency, it runs on the blockchain. Like, that would be like the main difference. You can build your community the same way you have been building your community on Bandcamp or on or you use it Patreon as an example too. So that's also, like, if you already have an experience interacting digitally with your community on Patreon, your transitioning into a blockchain-based platform will be probably easier, and because you already have those skills to produce digital content, connect with your public, but now you're adding another layer of providence, and having transactions on the blockchain can also bring in elements that you don't have in a Web2 platform. For example, again, if you have, a special reward or something that will reward your followers because of a blockchain interaction, you could easily identify those wallets and reward those users with experience. So I think that definitely one of the main, it's not like this is the opposite. It's more like it is the evolution of those platforms, but now integrating the technology. And I think that right now, there's like many things happening, and one of the huge evolutions for the public in general is growing or like moving away from only one type of currency and now having the option to do crypto and have that whole crypto economy integrated into your project. That is what actually is a big change for people, more than using the technology, is like the crypto part.
Yeah, and that's another thing you have to sell people on too. It's like there's these so many terms, like new terms for people to like understand and like have an identity crisis over, of like, do I want to get involved with this? Do I fuck with this? Like how do I feel about like being an avatar? I never envisioned myself as an avatar. And then like, yeah, so you have to like sell people on that idea. I mean, they're all separate things. They're all separate entities. Like crypto is its own thing, but they're all working in unison with each other, which is interesting. It's like like the crypto industry is merging with the like I don't even know what you would call it. Like, I mean, kind of the video game industry, maybe.
Yeah,
because metaverses are kind of just video games for adults.
Yeah, it's very the gamification of the technology is definitely happening as well.
Yeah. And there's just something video gamey about the fact that it's a digital avatar, and it's not like actually you. It's you can be whatever you want, like in the metaverse. Similar. You've seen Ready Player One, right? Okay, yeah. So it's just like that. Like the whole time, his best friend, he doesn't know is Lena Waithe or whatever. Like he doesn't know it's this black woman, because in the metaverse, like. It's a huge like man that looks like God of War, but like times 3, like
yeah. I mean,
her character.
I definitely think that there is just so much for people to take in. It's very difficult to try to sell somebody on one specific thing, or like on all of it. Actually, some people come into the space because they're into video games.
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh, so this is like a video game. And then they start, being part of communities that are focused on that. Other people may come in because they're tired of Spotify. And then they release an NFT and it blows up. And now they have all these fans and all this crypto, and they found a new community and a new way of doing things.
Yeah.
Other people may come in because they're looking for that crypto, like moving away from the establishment. There's a lot of people that come in because they're degenerates, and they just want to be part of this, revolution type of thing.
Yeah.
I myself, I wanted to come into the space because of experimentation and finding new ways, like purely experimental and purely artistic.
Yeah.
But then I found the building of the community and connecting with people and the power that the blockchain brings. And so, many people come into the space for different reasons. It's hard to sell all of it to one single person. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think for you was your... Was it a singular moment, or if you could describe, if it was a group of moments, could you just describe like, if there was a light bulb moment for you of like, this is the future.
Yeah, so for me, there were a few. I remember the first time. Well, first of all, I found out about crypto because I was investing into the stock market, like, I don't know, 10 years ago. And then, when you're invested in the stock market, you are, ideally aware of the news of the day, the current events. It all affects the stock market. So in keeping up with current events and technology and news and all of that, I found out about crypto. So then I, found out that I can invest in crypto. And actually, I started investing into like crypto as an investor before I was an artist, working with cryptocurrency. And then I remember, I don't even know where, but I saw the word crypto art. Eventually, like that word came into my radar. And then I thought, crypto art, like I like crypto. I'm an investor of crypto. I believe in the technology. And I'm an artist. Like crypto art, like I don't know what the heck that means, but I want to be it. I want to be part of it. I want to learn. And that was like really a big motivation for me, like understanding that, or like believing that there was like something new that interests me that I could explore.
Was this like the derivative of NFT? Like what came before like the term NFT was made? Was it like called crypto art, or are those two separate things?
I mean, those are two different ideas, but they're very, they're related with each other because crypto art it's a vast term, where you are blending in the art world with the crypto.
And NFT is like, I guess, the monetization of that.
Well, the NFT,
Like making it a currency that's like making it like giving it a fingerprint, like kind of like it's a just like one, you get to set how many there are of these and like you can sell them and all that, but like.
Yeah, I mean, NFT stands for non-fungible token.
Yeah.
And
it's a weird word, fungible.
Yeah.
This is why it's like hard to sell people. You just create these weird ass terms and they're like, what?
Right. So the NFT, like the code, like what the NFT is like a standard code that writes these receipts on the blockchain. So if I were to just explain it to my students in school, I would say it's like a receipt, of any type of transaction. And so within those transactions or within the product or service that you're selling, you could sell art. But you can actually make an NFT out of anything. This podcast could be an NFT as well. So
let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. and that's also another thing. Like people are capitalizing off of their content by making it into NFT and selling it. Whereas if you put it up on social media, it's there. You may get likes or maybe a percentage if it really gets a lot of plays. But yeah, so using this technology to capitalize off of your own content is actually a good use of it. With the NFT, I the way I see it is more like that is part of the technological code standard. Like it's the way that developers or artists, people that interact with the blockchain, use that language to interact with the blockchain. So for NFTs, you could have a code or a standard that will make one copy of your NFTs or many copies of your NFTs, like editions. So the NFT, in when you say, "Oh, I made an NFT," you basically say, "I have this receipt of whatever you're selling in the blockchain," and if you could use it as a selling point, like you can sell it to somebody can buy that. And through the blockchain, and thus you transfer that NFT or that token. Or you can also mint your NFTs, make your NFTs solely to have a registry to put it up in the blockchain and to establish prominence. And that's another actually use of it for artists, is that you can
When you say established providence, what do you mean? This is like the second time you use that term, but I don't really understand.
So you are basically creating a registration. It's not registration, a record,
Serial?
a record,
Okay,
a record
yeah.
of your art or your creation. For example, this podcast,
Like a digital footprint.
a digital footprint, and once you upload it into the blockchain, I mean, some of the benefits of the blockchain is that your house can burn down, and it still will be open, in the blockchain, in the cloud, however you wanna think of it. But that's that is valuable for.
Yeah, but don't let your wallet get lost, though.
Well, that's another thing. Like that's a big thing for people entering into the space.
Yeah.
Understanding the risks of mismanaging your keys, your information, clicking in the wrong links, falling into social engineering scams. It's a real thing. Like people that I know that have been using this technology for a while, they have been victims of scammers.
You should tell the story of the wallet that you lost.
The wallet that I lost. Okay,
Yeah.
so this has happened. I think
Digital wallet, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Like you can lose your digital wallet. I just want to be clear. Like we're not talking about a physical wallet here.
Right. So
For anyone who's unfamiliar with crypto yet.
So I got a wallet. A wallet is basically a digital wallet. You open it. It's free to open a wallet, and the wallet is like a crypto wallet. You're gonna hold the tokens inside this wallet, and there's all kinds of wallets for each blockchain. But one of the most popular ones is called MetaMask. So I opened my very first MetaMask back in 2021. And I remember I opened like my main one that I still use today. And I opened another one. And the reason why I opened two at the time was because, I wanted to use one just for my online interactions. And then another one, to hold some money and just, not touch it, just keep it there. For savings, basically. So I remember this is when I was like very new into the space. I made a transfer from like my current active wallet to an inactive wallet. So then what happened was that when I created my inactive wallet, I didn't recover my seed phrase or my key to open the wallet. I basically opened a new wallet and I started using it. So then what happened was that, time went by, and then I wanted to log in to see my wallet. But for some reason, I couldn't log in, and I kind of freaked out. I thought, well, maybe somebody deleted, somebody hacked. Yeah, I thought maybe somebody hacked me, and I can't log in. So I had these two wallets, but for the first one I created, the one that I was very active on, I had the seed phrase and all the information. For the second wallet, I never saved the seed phrase. I thought it was the same seed phrase from the first wallet for some reason. And I remember I uninstalled the MetaMask app, and I reinstalled it again. But when I reinstalled it again, I couldn't log in into my second wallet because I didn't have the login information. So I log into MetaMask with my credentials from the first wallet, and everything is there. I realized that I didn't get hacked. I was just kind of freaking out. But I could never log in into my second wallet. So that second wallet is there. It's on the internet. No one hacked it. You can see the money. It's living on the blockchain. And honestly, I don't have the keys. I never wrote them down. So that would be a wallet that's, it's it's a wallet with money that I just do not have access to. But that was actually a very cheap experience that I had. There are people that have made that mistake with thousands of dollars. So
Wasn't there one where wasn't there a scenario where like you got an email with like a link or whatever and it seemed legit, but like you clicked on the link and then like it like, or did this happen to someone that you knew?
that happens to many people. That has never happened to me.
Okay.
But I mean, that just happened to my friend Mexicano like a month ago. And the thing with that is that they will contact you. Like people will contact you asking if you want to do a commission or if you would like to check out their metaverse project. And it's like they kind of like gain your trust first.
Yeah.
And then they will send you a link. And that link could be like to download assets or to download a drive or a game. And then when people click on it and they download it, they automatically drain their wallets. They hack you. I mean, it's happened to many people. It's like so many people that I know.
So how do you know who to trust?
You don't trust no one. You don't trust no one. No, you don't. Like, for example, I get emails and private messages all the time from people offering things, asking for things with links, and I do not open the links. I mean, I will read the message.
So if I send you a link and like, yo, check out my new song, are you clicking the link?
No, I would not.
You know?
I would definitely open it on, like, for example, so here's the thing. If you can afford to have a second device connected to the internet where you do that kind of like suspicious, activity or transaction, go ahead and do that. But for example, on my phone, that's where I did check your Patreon through my iPhone. And my iPhone is not connected to any of my crypto wallets. And so my crypto wallets, they're like in one computer.
That's interesting. Because, I mean, that's hard to sell people on. Like, get a second phone. That's hard to like push that idea for like how to move cautiously through this. Like, but it's an option. It's an option.
I mean, the cheapest way to do, or the cheapest thing to do, would be to create multiple wallets and to never use your minting wallets to, for anything else except to mint. Some people get wallets
like a separate bank account for your business, basically.
Right, because at the end of the day, you want to diversify your, finances.
Yeah.
And that's a way to protect your assets.
But let's say you click on that link that, that drains your wallet or whatever, like, someone sends you, someone you don't know on the internet sends you an email, and if you click on this link that they send you, it's going to drain your wallet. How do you know that it's going to drain like the right account, or what you're suggesting? I think is like you have your business account, which maybe in the way that you're suggesting, like as soon as money comes in, you transfer it over to your real wallet. So there's never actually money, like too much money sitting in that one wallet, and it kind of becomes like a dummy account in a way for anyone trying to like hack you. But like, yeah, how do you know that it's going to like drain that wallet versus,
Well, you don't, because that's how they engineered their scams so that you don't have a clue.
Yeah.
Sometimes they would like contact you from a Twitter account that is verified with thousands of followers, and you're like, oh, this looks legit. But they could be copycat, like copying another real account where the only difference was a 0 instead of like an O.
But is there anything I could do on my end so that like if I click that link, like it's gonna automatically default to like this one wallet where I want it to direct like all links to,
Well, you could protect yourself through plugins. Like you can have plugins in your browser that will alert you on Web3 or blockchain transactions, and they will detect if the websites where you are putting in your wallet or signing in
Yeah.
are suspicious. There's also some websites that will help you revoke access that you have given through your wallets. So, for example, sometimes you go onto a website, log in through your wallet, and then you're given permission, to enter your wallet because that's how you're signing in.
Yeah.
And then you leave that website and they still have that open access. So those could be like, for example, a danger, and an opportunity for someone to attack you or to get into your funds. But using revoking app can help you stop that access. Those websites or those apps can help you in real time. So that's like a layer of protection that you can give yourself if you don't catch it yourself. Ideally, all of the emails that I get, I first of all, you like as an artist, you will get a lot of emails saying, for example, congratulations, your NFT just sold. And the amount of artists that get scammed that way, because you say, oh, it looks like from OpenSea and it has the actual picture of my NFT. And you're like, oh, it just sold. You click on that to go check the transaction. And then you want to log in to see the NFT, how it's sold or whatever. And then they get you. So one of the advices, for example, for to scan emails or messages on your email or on your DMs is that if you get emails from apparently legit accounts, I don't open any of those emails links. I don't click on them, and I actually go to the platform directly. Like because it happened before where it was like, okay, you sold an NFT, and then I go on to the platform itself. I log in to make sure that I'm logging in from my own portal, and then I go in and I did not sell the NFT. So like that type of like social engineering and like trickery is how they get a lot of people. So being very cautious and like not really interacting with links that you don't know, you are really not 100% sure where it came from, would be a major advice for people.
Wasn't one of the main selling points in the beginning of like selling people on the idea of the blockchain, like that it's supposed to be safer than like actual currency, and like these were the types of things that like we didn't have to worry about, and like that because there's like this like digital receipt that's on both sides. So if like one disappears, like the transaction's still there because the other person has the copy of that thing, and then you could just like reprint that or whatever. Like that was in my early understandings of like watching YouTube videos on what the fuck a blockchain is, and you have these like animated videos making things stupid for me, which is very needed. Wasn't that supposed to be the whole selling point, that it's safer?
Well, I think that with that conversation, it was also about the transparency and anti-corruption properties of having a permanent blockchain transaction.
Yeah.
It did help with corruption in some cases. For example, I remember in Mexico, this happened during COVID times. There was a lot of people like selling or making like weird transactions with the COVID results. Like this came to be, I think it was in Merida state in Mexico. It was a problem for the healthcare system to track the positive and negative results from people. Like it became, I'm gonna look for that article and I'll share it later, but it became like an issue. And that was one of the first uses of the blockchain from the Mexican government that kind of like help people understand that, okay, there's a good usage of this because through the blockchain, they were able to track people's results. And so that became like a standard in Mexico where they use the blockchain to help with transparency and diminish corruption for whatever was happening in that area. So I think that was where like that conversation also was coming from. But in terms of user security or protection, this has been one of my biggest worries of being involved in the technology, that you really don't have like a layer of protection as a user. And that's why I think that it's better to, if you're going to join in this technology, it's better to also advance slowly but surely and not try to run, because we are still very early. There are not a lot of safety or systems in place to protect people assets, and it's like the Wild West. Like it's very, it's not. It hasn't been.
It's new territory.
Yeah, it's new territory. It hasn't been. I'm missing this word.
Developed?
No, like when the government establishes.
Oh, regulated?
Regulated, yeah. It hasn't been fully regulated. We are getting there for sure. But back then, when people were talking about the safety and all these benefits from the blockchain, that was purely not regulated scenario.
That's another big concern of mine, is just like government moves too slow for how fast our society moves.
Oh, yeah. And in fact, for example, I just saw like Joe Biden like 2 days ago or yesterday signing a law or signing, I think he banned some type of legislation that send the message that basically the government wants to support banks in handling your Bitcoin, your cryptocurrency. So now we're seeing that the government is going to eventually take over this industry, and it has. Like I remember.
Well, can we? Because that's like the government and banks are two separate entities who, like, I'm sure through like funding and stuff and lobbying like are in bed with each other, but like I do think that there's a separation of like banks are private and like those are private entities, and even the Federal Reserve is a private entity, and the government is like its own separate thing. But like, so when you say the government's going to take over, like it's more like in tandem, I think, and I think it's important to like acknowledge that like it's not necessarily the government taking over, but it's the bankers, I guess, utilizing government to to get their hands in the pot and to probably make a penny off every transaction, which is like how that's like their business model, is like small transactions that like, or one of the things in their business model.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's at the beginning of this technology, I think that there was a lot of romanticizing of the technology. Like, I mean, I remember the feeling was like all artists holding hands and moving forward with the future. And like, yeah, sure, seriously, yeah. Like it was a very poetic and romantic time, but it only lasted like a year. It literally only lasted that whole summer of 2021.
Yeah.
Because the following year came and, bear market came and also regulations came. I remember there were like spaces where they were reading the regulation that was being proposed, where they basically, I mean, I'm not a political expert by no means, but I remember some of the conversations about the law that was being proposed 2 years ago. Was that, like, what did it mean for an artist, for example? There were like spaces like, what does it mean for you, independent artists, this new law? And what they were proposing was that all of the transactions that you process through your wallets, you needed to keep track of everything, and that where this technology, or I'm sorry, with the where the regulation or the law was heading to, is that you had to you're going to eventually have to pay taxes in all of your crypto transactions, and that if you did not properly register or included your transactions in your taxes properly, like you could be penalized as an independent artist. And also, so people were like really concerned about that, because the government or the law was not proposing that they were going to keep the transactions, because the government doesn't have the infrastructure to keep everyone's transactions. It was said that it was the user, the holder of that wallet, the responsible party to keep that transaction and to report that transaction on your taxes. And then also the consequences of not reporting your taxes or your crypto transactions adequately were also going to lead in punishments and an amount of money to be paid like as a consequence, or even imprisonment. So there was like a lot of concern about, okay, so we are just small independent artists, and what if we make a mistake and we don't register all the transactions? And the law right now, like back then, for example, if you sold an NFT, you can sell that NFT to someone anonymous. But the new law places responsibility on the artist, saying that if you're going to sell an NFT to somebody, you're responsible to make sure that the money where that came from, an anonymous user, that money is not coming from illegal activities, and that you basically had to know who are your collectors of your NFT, and that made it really difficult because.
So this is currently law.
Those were laws that were being proposed.
Oh, okay.
Because it takes time for them to pass the legislation.
That's just stupid.
Which is like, it goes against the whole anonymity.
You're making a product, and then and it's like telling like a bodega, like a deli owner, when people come in and buy a juice and they give you $1, you got to know where that dollar came from, or like how they made that dollar. Like that's stupid.
Yeah, so that was another. I remember that was another like big outcry from the artists community, because a big part of the ecosystem and this whole world is the anonymity that it can provide, and people, I wouldn't say hide behind, but stay behind their PFPs and their wallet numbers. Like, people don't dox themselves.
PFP.
Profile pictures.
Okay.
Their their identity, digital identity picture. Yeah. Like a lot of the crypto Twitter world, you will not see their faces in their publications because they are anonymous, and so that. Lifting the anonymity layer and asking us to track and document all of the collectors or all of the transactions forever and ever. And if you don't do it, you're going to be punished adequately. Like, that big responsibility is being dropped and placed on the holder of the wallets. Well, this is a conversation that I heard, and that was happening 2 years ago when they were launching this regulation or proposing the regulation. Right now in 2024, I am not 100% where all that is heading to, but the energy or the intention that I get is that at the beginning there was a lot of anonymity being offered and romantic use of the technology happening. But as we are moving forward, that all is coming down. For example, the decentralization idea is also kind of hard to experience, because at the end of the day, if we are all going to if it's all going to be regulated by the states, in that they're going to somehow get a piece of the pie, is it really decentralized? Like, are we really decentralizing the economy if we are actually going back to a centralized penal code? I mean, I'm definitely not against paying taxes on a business, but I think that we are definitely morphing the technology and the laws and the structure of our economy, because this is taking over. You know, the crypto economy, it's not mainstream, it's getting there, and it's definitely, I feel like it's going to be a way of the future. And we are right now not even in like a settled place. Everything is moving into motion. And yeah, so for me as a crypto artist, I'm just moving, day by day. And yeah, like if the government has actually been taxing my crypto, because you have to log in through your, with your wallet when you do your taxes here in the States. So for me, I'm already kind of like, paying taxes on my crypto, and I have no issue moving on with, whatever is required from the government or the IRS. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's just really all like evolving, for sure.
When it comes, just coming back to the metaverse idea, because again, these are just separate things. I think what you were saying in the beginning, it sounded like there are multiple metaverses, but the metaverse is also a concept, so it could be used in singularity or plural, right? Another misconception that I want to point out, I don't know if you've come across this, but I've actually come across this a few times already, just off of the few people that I've like had conversations with about the metaverse. A lot of people think that Facebook like owns the metaverse. Like they think that's like Meta's strategy is already working, of like naming themselves Meta to associate themselves with the entire metaverse. Right. Like I remember having to correct some of my friends in the group chat, like, y'all know this is not Mark Zuckerberg's thing. Like he doesn't own any, like he owns Facebook and changed it to Meta, and that's the only association, that they have their own metaverse, but they do not own the metaverse.
Yeah, I apologize to everyone trying to explore the technology. I'm sorry about the confusion. The metaverse space from Facebook is not the one and only metaverse. Yeah. It's not even like, it doesn't even get close to an actual metaverse experience, I think. So Facebook, like many other companies, want to get ahead of the technology and bring all of their audience into their own digital space, into their own metaverse.
It was smart on their part to do that. Yeah. That was a smart move.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure like all of these companies have people whose job is specifically advance their brand into the future, and that's why they can see that, Yeah. Earlier when you asked me like why like tell people like why is it a good thing to do this, is because everybody who has the money to look into the future and pay people to advance their business is doing it. So like you should do it too, because nowadays you can do it. You don't need big money to actually get started. But yeah, so I remember when I first got my VR MetaQuest sets, one of the first things I did was to explore Facebook metaverse space. And it was a joke. I mean, I did not have a good time.
Yeah. Why?
Because so I log in, I'm with my VR set in my living room.
Yeah.
And it was very empty. Like I have been previous to that experience, I had been in other platforms, in crypto voxels. There's a lot of, or there was a lot of parties and events happening in 21, 22, 23, like that I was a part of. So I was able to see what a party was like, with multiple people present. And then later on, I joined the Centraland, and it was the same thing, lots of parties, exhibitions, and events, festivals happening when like people are there, and Spatial 2 was another metaverse platform. And in Spatial, there's also a good community good amount of people. And so having those previous experiences in other platforms prior joining Meta was, I think that for me, that was like the difference, like I was like, what the heck is this? It's empty.
That's the ironic part, is that a social media platform created a metaverse that's less social than the other metaverses, because it seems like they're more invested in the beginning. From what I've experienced on the Oculus, which is just like the first time I put on an Oculus, it was I was amazed. I was like, oh my god. I mean, I haven't put any other VR headset on since, but I think they're more like into lifestyle, into like you're creating your digital home, and you could play these few little games, and like you could set things up how you want to. If you want to look at some nature, you can do it. You can do that. Like I think they're more concerned with like implementing it into people's everyday life before they are focused more on the social aspects and community.
Right. I mean, I like when I entered their metaverse space, the first thing I noticed was that it was empty. But then I started noticing other things, like, for example, interface wise or design wise, like it just didn't feel. It just didn't feel like they like a place where I could go and hang out. It just felt like a almost like a flip flop. Like it was just like done, like halfway done. It just didn't feel like it was a social environment. It felt like it was a point for you to what? Nothing. like seriously, like I remember there was a boy, you could hear like a boy talking, because I remember I entered also through another platform where you could hear people, like in what, people from wherever in the world, in that metaverse space. And I remember I heard this boy, and he had like an English accent, so I say hi, and he was playing in the metaverse. And I remember he showed me around. He said, "Oh, let's go to this game," and I played a game with him. And then we went to another game, and I played another game with him. And then that was it. Like I just didn't feel like this is where the community is. It's certainly not where I wanted to build. Like it just didn't feel like a place where you could build. Mm-hmm. It felt like a place where you go and you do something there, and then you step away from it.
Yeah.
In the difference with, for example, the Centerland, is that you can actually build on it. You can purchase a land. You can build on that land. You can do events on
How
that
much
land.
is a land?
Well, it has varied. I remember when I first was looking into purchasing, it depends on the size.
Yeah.
But they started, I mean, the Decentraland Mana has varied. But when I was looking into it, it was like $4,000 or $5,000.
For what?
And then for
Like a lot of land, or like does it go by like square foot, like
yeah,
per square pixels, like
yeah, and it goes by parcel, and it also by height.
yeah.
So you could like get like a small parcel, medium parcel, large parcel, and also like the height of the parcel varied. But we're
Well,
talking
what's a parcel?
a parcel would be like I mean, in the digital space,
Yeah, if you can relate it to like physical space, like what the equivalent would it be
a
like
parcel could
a
be like,
box in a room, or would it be the room, or a lot of land? Like,
yeah, it's land.
oh, just okay,
Yeah, so like a parcel is like a lot.
okay,
And then you
okay,
have like a street,
okay.
and you have like a city
So
streets.
4,000 for that?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I mean, the price has gone down
Yeah.
of mana, and I think that they have adjusted also the price because so like it's different if you purchase it by US dollar or by crypto mana coin, which is the coin for the Centraland. And throughout the past years when they have brought to vote by the DAO or like the Decentraland organization, they have voted, for example, to charge creators in dollars or in crypto coin to adjust for the price of the coin. Like it had gone down. I know some people who took advantage of when the coin went down. So obviously the price went down, and they were able to snatch lots of land for like $2,000. But then what happened is that other platforms came up where people didn't have to buy the lot or the land,
Like Nifty Island.
like Nifty Island. Like they just gave you the lots. And so what happened is that a lot of people who purchased land on the central land, they basically felt like they wasted a lot of crypto money because you don't have to purchase a land to be an active builder in the metaverse.
Yeah.
So
That was gonna be my question, is like, how do you know, like if I drop $2,000 on land in this one metaverse, that's an investment into the belief that this metaverse is going to be of value in the future, because there are anyone who can code, who like programmers create the metaverses. I presume, right? So they're created by people. Pretty much anyone can do it. I don't know what the licensing is, or like what are the hurdles you have to like legally like jump through to create one. But the how is it even possible to know, like what gives it value is that people are paying attention, that people are engaging with it, people are creating avatars, people are participating, and like if so and so creates a metaverse tomorrow that like becomes more popular and there becomes a rush to that metaverse, then this metaverse over here where you started in essentially, I would imagine, depreciates in value. Of like, you can have a lot of land, right? You could buy land in this one metaverse, but if no one's there, or if they dissolve the company, they don't like they decide like, we're out the metaverse game, we're done, we're not doing any more updates, like that's it, like you just lost. It was like your investment was pointless.
right, and that's what you call a rug pull.
A what?
Rug pull.
Drug pull.
Rug, like a rug
A rug
pull.
pull. Yeah.
I mean
yeah.
that's also another common thing in the space. It's like a lot of rugs, being pulled by not only like a metaverse space, but like a project, an NFT company. And I think that that's another thing. Like you have to be also aware of who are you building with, because for example, I feel like I was part of a rock pool before, and I didn't know until after it happened. It had to do with a metaverse project. I can tell this story. I feel like that could like help people. So this happened like in the metaverse in the Centraland. about 3 years ago. There was this project that was promoting DJ competitions in the metaverse. And so I thought, oh, that's a cool concept. I haven't seen DJ competitions, and they use the blockchain to vote, which I thought was cool because it brought the layer of transparency. So they had weekly DJ battles. They had 34 at some point DJs battling each other. They had this like structure organized program, and at the end of the competition they had a winning DJ. And every time that they competed, every week, only the people present in the competition in the metaverse had access to the voting system. So it was very transparent. I really believed in what they were doing, and I joined them. So I was one of the presenters. So when they had live competitions, I was in the metaverse, both with my avatar and with my camera on the screens in the metaverse, introducing the DJs, interviewing them, talking about, what they were doing in the metaverse. And the whole project, I thought, it's innovative. It has to do with music, with art. It's using the metaverse, the blockchain. I was happy, being part of that project. But then I realized that the people running the project were running the project through the DAO, the Decentraland DAO's grant program. So basically, the Decentraland Metaverse has a DAO, which is a decentralized organization, which in a DAO, the members are the ones that are running, the organization. So
Could you explain DAO for people?
yeah, so think of it like a cooperative environment where people come together and they form an organization.
It's digital
Decentraland,
or decentralized
autonomous organization.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I feel like I need to drink more coffee. But so within these, these organizations are supposedly, or their main idea or their structure is supposed to be decentralized, which means that everybody in the organization has a vote, and the structure, the power is not centralized in some people or in just a few. But there's a lot of also critique about it because it has also proven that it hasn't been decentralized as intended. One of the examples is the DAO from Decentraland, where this project was getting funded by the DAO. So the DAO basically has, funds. They have funds, they have money that their intention is to spread it with the community.
It sounds like a government.
It sounds like a government,
like a democracy.
So
democratic.
The idea, though, was to not make it centralized, way. It was basically to auto govern.
Yeah. But like a true democracy, not like our democracy. Not like our democracy is like a democratic republic where we should have like representatives. But it sounds like it's more like what a true democracy is supposed to be, where everyone just like votes on rules and laws and like how this operates and all that.
I mean, it has definitely, there's like good examples and also like bad examples, of like how people are living the spirit of a DAO. So in that project that I think I was a part of the rug pull, what happened is that the DAO from the Decentraland gives funds in the form of grants. So people will send in their proposal, and if they approve, they'll give you money. And so what happened is that with this DJ competition, they sent in their proposal, it passed, so they got a lot of money to make the competition happen. And from the funds, they paid the DJs, they paid us, the people that were, was weekly, doing the promotion and all of that. But what happened is that they were basically pocketing a lot of the money. Like they were paying people, but they were pocketing most of it. And they were basically, and I was not really aware of like their, wrongdoing. I was part of basically the legitimization of the project because they hired us, directly, and we believed in the project and we wanted to build, around this project. And then what happened is that the DAO revoked the grant. So when they revoked the grant, the project basically stopped working.
Is that because of how they were going about paying people, or like?
Well, I honestly, at the moment, I felt like they revoked it for the wrong reasons. There was some people in the DAO like speaking up against the founder of the project. There was a lot of personal attacks towards the founder of the project. He was a person that was African American. He was in China, so there was like there was a lot of talk against him because he was not in the U.S. He was in China.
Yeah.
And so I at that moment I didn't think there was an issue because this is the internet.
I don't hear about, this could be ignorant, but I don't hear about a lot of Black people like just living in China. So that's already like sus. Like I feel like China and Japan, they feel like very like homogenized societies.
Right.
Like no outsiders, like.
But then if we bring back the conversation to the disadvantaged Black and brown people,
Yeah.
I was actually I saw it from like the point of view where like, I saw a Black founder doing a DJ competition project in the Metaverse, using the blockchain for the transparency of the vote. Like that was like my angelic vision of the project. And so I didn't see the other aspect, which it was that he was draining funds from the DAO. And just like that project, there's many projects that enter the space in the DAOs and all of these metaverse ecosystem to drain the DAO's funds.
Yeah.
So then what happened is that they took the money back, and the project stopped working.
That's annoying because it makes it harder for us as artists, like as people who are artists who are engaged in the community and are about community and like want to not just like do things for the betterment of ourselves and our brands, but for the betterment of our communities as well, and like wanting to bring people in. It's those types of things that it'll make it harder for us for the next like actual DJ competition that like wants to get funding. I'm sure there's gonna be more skepticism around like, okay, but what are you really about?
Right. Even like for me, like I don't want to be part of a big project like that anymore. For me, it slowed my progress because instead of focusing on my craft and my personal project, I spent weeks promoting a brand and a competition and inviting my own DJ friends to compete. Like I actually pull in my resources to enhance this experience, and I wasn't the only one doing that. So people like him will come into the system, they will extract what they can and then run away. And that rug pull system is another problem, it's another problem in the space that I think that is a result of like no regulations as well.
So I guess coming back to the rug pull and my original like question, like how do we know which metaverse to set up shop?
Well, one of my like advices now after being a victim of rug pulls and good and bad actors is so you have to see how people are building. For example, our systems being in place where they're building in public, meaning are they having public Twitter spaces, weekly workshops, gatherings? Like, are people like real humans behind these projects and actively engaging with the community? Can you build a trusting relationship over a period of time? Or are they like rock pools, being presented as a big brand, but you don't really hear who the people behind it are? Like some of them might be, scammers coming back with a different identity. So, like, seeing how they're building and if they're building publicly and interacting directly with the users is like a big, for me, would be like a big thing to look out. Like, who are behind these platforms, and are they having direct interaction with the public? Yeah.
I think another thing to keep an eye on, which would just kind of come to my mind in effort to answer my own question, just through process of elimination and like what kind of, and just intuitively, where are the corporations building their, like, which metaverse are they building their land? Are they diversifying and like building their like online shops, or online stores, online experiences in specific metaverses, or are they like flocking to one more than the other? Like Nike, for example, like or Adidas, or I think like that's the fashion industry is like beginning to invest in AR experiences and like being able to actually try clothes on digitally and all that stuff. So, yeah, where do you think they're building, if you know it all right now? But I think that's something to look to as like, okay, if they're building there, like wherever they're building, wherever most of the money is being, follow the money. That's what it comes back to. It's just like wherever most of the money is being allocated to and invested, like that's probably where you want to like pay attention and start setting up shop, because they're not doing it for no reason. But if they're diversifying and they're building and like, in multiple metaverses, so that like whichever one of these is going to take off, we're ready. That's a whole other thing. And then there's like, then I can't really be as sure. But if they're all building, if they're in bed with Facebook, with Meta, and they're like, okay, we're going to build in your metaverse, then I know like I should probably start heading in that direction.
I think they're building their own metaverse spaces.
Ooh.
Ideally, I think that if you think of it from like economical, financial standpoint, why would you build on somebody else's metaverse when you can make your own metaverse space? Like, isn't Nike building their own metaverse space?
Are they?
Yeah, I think that they're building their own environments. Wow. Because, so I remember one of the big brands that came to the metaverse space was MasterCard. MasterCard had events in the Centerland a couple years ago. They actually right now have an incubator for Web3 artists. So having big brands come into like one metaverse space, I think that could be also like centralized. It could centralize the traffic into one environment. And I think that instead of rushing to one metaverse platform, in the long term, you want, like me as an Adidas or as a Puma, brand person, I would want to build my own environments.
But what's I mean, that's interesting. Because right now it's kind of like the thought of like every corporation having their own metaverse is like kind of daunting, because then it's like you have to create your own avatar for each one. You have to create your own like username.
Well, here's the thing with
connect your wallet. Like do all these like little tasks that I think it would make the most sense for like there to be a mall, like inside of one metaverse that a bunch of companies have like invested in, or like they come to their like meeting of the minds or whatever, their Illuminati meeting, and they're like, we're gonna build in this metaverse, and then you go to this place, and then it's like, oh, okay, I can shop at like Nike and Adidas and Guess and like Armani Express or whatever, H&M, Uniqlo, like without ever leaving my house.
Right. So I think that the term that, or like what comes to my mind is this term of interoperability.
Right.
Which is, I think that the next layer of this metaverse experience.
And just to, because it's important to define these things because these are new concepts. Like we have to be aware of, like, even myself, like I barely, I'm just a baby in this, and you've been in this for a while. It's like when I have to like remind myself of like certain musical concepts that I have to be like, this is compression. When I say compression, I'm talking about this. So like interoperability, is that interoperability, right? Could you explain what that concept is and then continue?
So interoperability is this, I mean, I'm sorry for my accent, but that's how I say it. It's this concept where as a user, you can easily navigate different metaverse spaces, different digital platforms without the hustle of changing your avatar or logging into different places or having a individual process and using only specific tools for one metaverse. So, for example, if I go to Decentraland, my login in could be a different wallet or a different process than CryptoVoxels, for example. And the avatars could look entirely different, and then you have to get a specific wearable for one metaverse that's not going to work for another metaverse. So in terms of user experience, if you have an interoperable asset, that means that your asset that you're using in one platform or you're logging in translates to any other platform. So it's like a seemingly experience.
Like a seamless.
Yeah, seamless experience. Yeah. And I feel like we don't have that yet. We have some form of it, some assets, but that's not here yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like a great like business idea just came to mind, which I won't do, but just throwing it out there. Like there will probably be like a Twitch for metaverses. Like you go to one site and then like they have all the links or whatever to like, you know, like Nike or I keep saying Nike, but it's just a good example of a company that's probably already building, as you said. So like, yeah, just like I'm picturing like the Twitch layout and like, you know, all the little squares or whatever, and you just like being able to hop like.
Right, go to different.
Yeah, it opens in a new tab or something. Yeah,
I mean, ideally, that's what kind of like this is all going to, and I visualize in the future that, you know, you're gonna put on your
or it'll
glasses,
be built into your OS,
or like your chip or whatever, and then you can decide where to go.
Yeah,
but. So that moment when we can seemingly go from one place to another, you can use the same outfit you're wearing in one metaverse, is going to be translated into another metaverse like that. That is, we are beginning to see that. There are some projects that will make your avatar downloadable, so you can download it and then upload it into another metaverse, and then that avatar works in many different digital spaces.
So in your opinion, like the place to invest your time in is like look for where the largest sense of community is, and like invest your time and your money or in whatever, like in that metaverse.
Yeah, I mean, I would look into the activity if they are actively building. Like, for example, not all the metaverse platforms have both a mobile and a computer platform. Mm-hmm. Some of them start mobile and then they move on to doing a platform, computer downloadable software, and other other ones do it the other way around.
Yeah.
So knowing that they're actually building the infrastructure, that maybe they don't have both options or a third option with the VR experience, but that they're building on it. It's also something important because we have to understand this is all developing and we can't expect the platforms to have it all.
Yeah.
But if you are actively involved and they're holding events, IRL events or digital events where there's actually an active involvement of the community and they're actively building towards that future, that's important to see.
Which metaverses do you think are doing that right now?
Well, there's a few that I think are doing a good job. Spatial is doing a good job in integrating new tools. The Centraland is actively building. They just had an IRL summit in Argentina last month. So those type of like IRL experiences are very important because you get to see people in real life and the strengthening of the community improves because you are not only interacting with each other in a digital space, but now you have a real life experience. They do workshops, and coming together IRL is important. I know that Spatial does IRL events. Actually, here in New York, they have done a few. Metaverse is another platform that has also done IRL experiences. Nifty Island, they do workshops. I have attended some Nifty Island Discord workshops. And I know they do like daily meetups kind of thing in Discord too. So I personally look into that. I look into who's doing IRL events and who's connecting directly to their public via, podcasts, Twitter Spaces, workshops. And that's what gets my attention. There are other brands that are building more like in private. And so for me as an artist, as a user, I do not feel comfortable, trying to build around companies that are building more like in private ways.
Mm-hmm. So which metaverses are you spending the majority of your time and like resources and energy?
Right now, I would say Nifty Island. I spent time there, and also
You've built a fabulous island so far, by the way.
Thank you. Nifty Island, I will definitely
My
recommend
island is
it.
trash.
I'm still building mine. It's not complete yet, but it's fun. Isn't it fun?
Not really.
I mean,
Personally, no, like the terraforming, I'm having a hard time. I'm just like, yo, this is hard. Like
I love terraforming.
I see where it's headed, but like, I think as a video game, like it just needs more development as a video game. Like to do certain things is hard. Like it's just hard.
Well, here's the thing.
I wish it was easier to like terraforming is a new concept. Like terraforming is something that I heard that happens on Mars. Because you know that I've like done like a UX UI boot camp, right? So like and I've done a couple UX projects. So like I have that mindset onto that hat onto all the time. Like when I'm like critiquing something, and I'm just like, okay, are you using language that's familiar to me? Like, are you like how what's the learnability? What's the memorability of what I'm doing? So like, automatically WASD is not user friendly for me. I am someone that uses computer software regularly because I make music. I'm fast with quick commands. Like I get in the zone. Like my fingers move on their own. Like when I'm looking at a screen. So like I'm a specific kind of user that's kind of like more further developed in those areas than people who just use Excel and like Google's G Suite or whatever. And that is uncomfortable for me to like move around. Like it they're so like close together too. Like just the so all that I'm judging. I'm critiquing the experience every step of the way of like, but I'm giving it grace on like this has to get developed. But for me, if you're asking like, is it fun yet? I'm like, it's not there yet for me.
Yeah, I mean,
and like terraform, I'm bad at it. Like it just looks ugly, and I'm already on some like, man, that's mad work. Like I'm sure I could get good at it if I really put in the time and effort, but like I don't want to do that. I want to make I want to like do an action, and like when it's like terraform, because you have to like, it's like building a sandcastle. It's like you know, you the way that it works, like you choose to terraform like a little area, and you have to like, you know, like just do it like all around or whatever. And meanwhile I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I could do it in the water. I could do it like anywhere kind of like on the island, I guess. And then I have to take my house and like awkwardly like fit it, and you know, like just it's very blocky, and like, you know, how it rotates. So yeah, like and for someone like me, I'm very particular. It's very clear to me already that there's a level of skill involved in being good at the game that you really have to buy into. That I just don't feel like I have the time for. I want things to be a little easier for me to like execute my vision on like what I want my island to look like. So right now it looks like a dumpster fire. It's very basic. I have my house, and it's like awkwardly on this like platform of like a half terraformed thing. It's terrible. And I bought the DJ booth NFT, and I have no idea how to place that anywhere. Like,
Oh my God! I can help you in placing your DJ booth in your island. No problem.
can you? Yeah.
Well, see, like in contrast, I think that it's Nifty Island for me.
Yeah.
Has been the easiest metaverse to build.
And that's scary.
Because the other metaverse, you didn't have the option to terraform live.
Yeah.
You have to basically build all your environment in a 3D software, and then you export the scene or the whole architecture
Like
as a
Blender
file.
or Unreal Engine or something. Whoa.
Yeah, so you design everything there, perfect,
That's
pixel
hard.
perfect, right?
You got to pay someone to do that if you don't know what you're doing.
And then you
or
will,
spend a lot of fucking hours.
right, and then you will upload the scene into your lot of land.
Yeah.
So when Nifty Island came, and
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, I have a lot I don't have to pay for. Like it's a free lot, everyone gets one.
Yeah.
And then number two, I can actually build a good, decent looking structure without having to pay a coder, a 3D builder, like all of those middlemen people could be eliminated, you know, and then all you have to do is learning the tools yourself. And so that opportunity to build a metaverse space for free, that was actually what for me was innovative about Nifty Island. And
Yeah.
it still has a long way to go.
And that you can earn crypto too.
You can earn crypto by playing.
Yeah, I don't want to make it seem like I'm shitting on Nifty Island. I'm just being honest about my
Right. No,
experiences.
and I think that it's important. Like I share with you how for you being a new user, terraforming might not be the best experience.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like we never had terraforming before.
Yeah.
Like it's actually a tool that was like, oh my God, I don't need to design this in Unreal Engine. I can just do it here in the platform.
Yeah.
That's cool. And also being
Because
able.
I think my point of reference is like video games. Like oh, this is just not a great video game yet. They're working on it. They're gonna develop it, but like, you know, like compared to Fortnite,
Right. So like
it's
having
night and day.
having the opportunity to have your own game built on crypto and being able to invite people to play in your island, in your game, that, you know, for free, that I feel like that's a big opportunity that, I mean, I'm not fully taking advantage of that, but I have friends, you know, people that I know in real life who are building brands built on their island, and they're like monetizing and they're making money, you know, because they are taking fully advantage of Nifty Islands.
Yeah.
I'm a participant,
Yeah.
but I'm not a builder per se. I'm not really generating income from Nifty Islands.
Yeah.
But there are people who are. I think that it definitely takes a lot of time, you know, to properly build.
Yeah.
But people that are not focused on other things. That's what they're focused on, and they're actually making it work.
Could I pay someone on Fiverr to like build my island?
Yeah, there's actually a couple people in Nifty Island who will build it for you. There's a guy very popular, Miro. He's building a lot of islands for other people on Nifty Island.
How much, or like, what do they go for?
I don't know exactly, but I know of another person who
Because that's true. Like, I didn't even think about that. He wouldn't even need to have my login or anything. Like, he can. Oh, no, because they can't terraform on your island, or can you allow access?
You can give them access. Yeah.
So he could just do it on his own, just like pull
And
up to my
then-
island. That's crazy. That's like hiring a construction worker.
Yeah, exactly. So those are what you call metaverse builders.
It's like hiring a contractor. Wow.
There's a whole community of metaverse builders.
An economy now.
And then those are making money.
Yeah.
Because they're actively building the metaverse, and those are users, and that's what actually is cool about metaverses, that will allow users to build, and to develop a whole brand and build a whole community and business model based on their infrastructure.
Yeah.
I do know a couple people who can build for you, not only on Nifty Island, but in any metaverse space. So that could be also another, interest for people wanting to join this technology that are already versed in 3D skills. That's a whole area of growth.
Do you know what like those prices start at, or like an estimate?
I mean, seriously, I've seen people doing it for free. So it can start at zero. Or they can do it for like a starting point. I was quoted about $300 for a build at some point.
That's not
400, 500. I mean, it depends on the complexity of your builds.
Yeah.
It goes to like 1,000, 2,000.
Okay.
But it's an affordable entry plan.
But yeah, but if that's the price, if that's the discounted price of a lot of land, or a parcel, or whatever you want to call it, in a metaverse, but I can go to this, I can go to this metaverse, this other metaverse that gives me an island, and I could just pay someone to like build, like for that same price, like that's kind of worth it to me, to like, because then you have a lot of land, and you still have to build on it, and especially if you can't like terraform, like you still have to pay that other person, like or like, again, put in the hours yourself to like get good at 3D design. That's a tall task. So
Yeah.
that's I'm gonna look into that. I mean, that it's hard when you're like free is hard, because if you have a vision for what you want to do, because then you got to be like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like,
this isn't the blueprint.
it's not ideally.
This isn't what we agreed to. You what you did in that corner, you didn't build that room right. It's supposed to have soundproofing inside the walls. It doesn't. I'm just like joking, but these are like real life, like, problems that people have with like hiring like cheap work or something. So if you want something done right,
No, yeah, and also to be sustainable, and to sustain the community, you definitely want to reward people. But also there is a value in learning how to do something by doing it. Because a lot of people may gatekeep the technology and how to build. And I mean, the reason why I said free is because within this whole community and culture, there is a lot of free education. There's a lot of free workshops.
where are like the resources? Like, where would one go to access those?
So Discord will be a big one. So all of these platforms have Discords
Okay.
where the community members will organize weekly or monthly workshops, and they would have builders, that are actively building on the platform. They have them do workshops where they will show you how to use the tools to build your own platform or your own metaverse space.
Yeah.
And so taking advantage of all of the free education is also something that I would recommend, because even though it's not easy to learn these new platforms, we do have a lot of active builders giving away their skill for free. And the idea is that you also become a builder and you build on the platform and then you teach other people how to build, and that's like a little chain.
Yeah.
And so I think that even though it's not easy to be a coder or a 3D designer, it's the tools and the resources to learn or to commission people are there, you know? Yeah, and I think it's good to commission people and to work with people because they are sustaining the space. Another thing is that, for example, in 2022, I did a metaverse Web3 residency where we had a couple builders that had never built in the metaverse. But they were 3D artists, and we all came together. And through this Web3 residency, we basically met up in the metaverse. We learned about Aztec anthropology, and then between all of us, we built a metaverse space on Spatial, and having that experience where we all came together over a period of 2 months, and none of us knew what we were doing at the time, but we learned how to build and then publish the space. Having that experience, I think, was positive for everyone involved because now we each have an idea of what it actually takes to build a metaverse space. So that type of opportunity is happening all the time for people that want to be in the metaverse. And if they don't know how to start, where to start, there are definitely communities and programs, workshops that will hold your hand. They will tell you how to build, and then you can build your own. And there is also plenty support of people doing this for a living nowadays that will offer you, opportunities to commission them.
Yeah. I mean, that's the volunteering aspect is great to hear. Because I'm sure, like, who knows, but right now Beyonce might be like building her metaverse, and she's not on the computer doing it herself. She's like taking the vast amount of wealth she has, maybe, and like I'm just using her as an example, and probably paying so and so like the wealth inequality and like the equal access to resources in general is important, so that the people without the funds to, and again, I don't want to like single Beyonce out. Like, Diplo might be doing the same thing, or not just artists, corporations. Like, it's like in Ready Player One, how like, what was the name of the company? The one that like they're basically fighting against like the entire time to like get Halliday's egg.
I can't remember.
Yeah, but basically like in Ready Player One, for those who haven't seen it, like there's it's about the concept of the metaverse, and essentially there's like a corporation that like everyone's playing this one game because there's like a cash prize if you go on the scavenger hunt, and no one's been able to do it for a certain like amount of years, but there's this one company that has all the capital, like they just have a ridiculous amount of wealth, and they like hire a bunch of like gamers to like under their company to like all like try to find this egg. So if you're not a part of that company, if you're just like Steve, like if you're just like just regular Joe, like trying to find the egg, you're on your own, and you're at a disadvantage because you have an entire company like against you, right? So the parallel to the real world of like what's happening right now is if you have wealth, you can pay builders, you can do amazing things with resources, with, and money is a huge resource. So if you have it, you can do a lot more than someone who might have a great idea, but doesn't necessarily have the resources to execute it. So these builders, these people who are volunteering, I mean, that's just like good to hear that that's happening. I hope it stays that way, and I hope they don't get taken advantage of, and
Right. I mean, and I think that that's part of the experience for creatives in the space. Is like you definitely develop a sense for identifying rock pools before they happened, and you become aware or more like jealous of your talents, your skill, your time. And it is, I think that it's also a trusting exercise, because we are all building this thing together. The technology allows for everyone to build on their own. At the same time, it allows for all of us to build over a certain platform. So I think that it's like a balance also of staying on your lane, like continuing your own project, but also knowing that the resources for community growth and help, they are there. No, maybe not all the projects have that, but the ones that do have an active community, I think it's, for me, they're the healthy environments where you want to be around.
I just want to vocalize too that you like specifically you are so needed and necessary in spaces like this, because if I went to the event that you invited me to in the Oculus Center at Canvas 3.0, right, and I just walked in, I didn't know you, I'd be very skeptical. I wouldn't necessarily trust anybody, but based off of like conversations we've had, and you've already shown that you really care about community. You like just like openly, volunteer to collaborate with events, as a VJ, and like, just help out where you can, volunteer, just like you're so giving with information. It breaks down a barrier and a wall for me, and I'm sure like whoever checks this out that might be skeptical. I mean, I think like just by your existence and your like who you are and being in this space, it makes it a place that feels like it's just good to know that there are people who are fighting for the force of good in these spaces. And I just want to make sure I say that and just let you know that you are very essential for people getting involved, like people like myself, because I visited the idea of like I had a Coinbase wallet, and the metaverse concept has been like interesting, but I'm just like anyone else, kind of on this side of like what's going on here, and like who do I trust. So yeah, you're just very essential to like bringing people in and just creating space and making sure, and your curation, your moral compass and your values, like for you having those and knowing where to look, and then being giving of that information, like allows a whole bunch of other people and artists to like know where to go. Like, okay, so it's safe over here. You have a lot of that advice and stuff, which is just like, yeah, really helpful. And I just want to.
Thank you. I feel like, like all of this technology could have exploited anywhere. It could have grown within the education system, the music system, the healthcare system, but I believe that all of this NFT technology was first exploited by the artists. Like NFT art was where this technology exploited first before it, like I feel like the artists have these mindsets of open, you're open, you're just by nature not afraid of trying new technologies. So I think that me having this art background and being an artist myself is what allowed me to explore this technology. However, this technology can be used by any sector. So I think that the upcoming sectors or the mainstream adopting the technology are definitely going to take a lot of lessons that the artist community already learned. And part of the early adapters' responsibility is to share our lessons, our mistakes, and hopefully this will all accelerate the mass adoption. It's not only about like, oh, I'm an OG, I'm an early adapter, like I'm this and that. It's like actually the responsibility is real, especially for underrepresented communities. Like I am an immigrant myself, so being able to bring about Latin artists and Black and brown artists to the space is important. You are, also like an artist. And so like for me, every time that I meet someone that has a creative project, I do try to, I try to speak about what I'm doing in the space, just in case if they want to, join or learn more about it. But I don't think I'm past over my point where I'm actually trying to get people in. Like, I feel like at this point, if people want to be part of it or want to learn from it, they're going to come to me and like ask for, information, and I'm going to give it to them. But I wouldn't say that I'm, trying to evangelize people on the technology.
Yeah. But still, again, just bless
I'm here to
bless
help.
your heart.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we don't really have much time left, but like, can we, I guess, briefly just talk about like, well, what you're doing as a VJ? I know you also make music. Like, what are your creative projects you're working on right now?
Well, today, actually, what time is it right now?
3:11.
3:11. Okay, so tonight, I have a VJ set that I'm gonna do at Culture Lab here in New York, in Queens. And so I'm gonna be doing visuals, audio reactive visuals, and that's like part of my VJ project that I have, which actually started way before the NFT space. Was a part of my activities, and continuing to open space for video artists and visuals within the crypto space is something that I'm focusing on. Next month on July, I'm gonna be doing a workshop on VJ, community VJ projects in Mexico City.
Oh.
So
I was like, I'm there, and then you said Mexico City.
Well, hold on, but I'm gonna make it also available digitally.
Cool.
So for example,
when did you say this was?
This is gonna be on July 12th.
Okay, so
we're gonna.
This will be out before then, so that's great.
Oh yeah, so we're gonna be doing an art exhibition, a physical art exhibition in Mexico City. 10 artists. We're all coming together, IRL, in person, and then we're all gonna do one workshop. So it's gonna be 10 workshops, 10 artists, IRL exhibition, and all of the workshops have to do with blockchain, NFT, metaverse. I'll be doing 2 workshops. The first one is going to be about metaverse spaces. And in that one, we are going to walk people through metaverse galleries, and we'll be visiting different digital spaces for people to actually see IRL, what this whole thing is about. And then the second workshop I'll be doing on video mapping. So for that one, we're going to have a structure, IRL, that I'm going to video map and then the video mapping mask. I'll share that with the people attending the workshop and also online. And the idea is that people will create an art, within that mask. And then I'm going to put all these submissions together, creating a video animation to be projected onto the physical structure. And then that I'm going to mint on the website, on the blockchain. So ideally, all of the people participating will be sharing their public crypto wallets. So I can put all of those crypto wallets together to create one smart contract wallet. Therefore, we will be minting a collective piece with one wallet. Wow. And so you do that through a shared smart contract. And when you do that, you can specify in the smart contract either the percentages for everyone, or you can split it equally. In my case, when I do community projects, I split them equally. So if 10 people join the project, it will be split between 10 people equally. And so that's what I'm going to be doing in Mexico City next month in order to, share with people IRL the use of the technology apply within my video arts, video mapping, scene. But anyone can apply this technology within their own style or interest. So that's something I'm going to be doing next month. And also with music, I don't know if I should say this because it's like maybe too early, but so I have a project that I launched a couple years ago called Love. And in this project, I gave away, or, I share the music stems. So producers were able to do remixes. And so what happened is that I minted the remixes on a platform that rocked on me. And they basically closed the platform, and the NFTs, they sent them to basically like a cloud storage. And so I've been working to relaunch that project because it basically flopped, with the platform, since all of it was hosted in that platform.
Yeah.
And so with music-wise, I do feel like that kind of like slowed my vibe and my growth within the music space. So I've been working on getting the assets off of the clouds.
But shout out to your resilience too, though. Like just that you're like, yeah, that was a dead end, but I'm still going and I'm still gonna like pushing through. Like, because a lot of people would just like stop there and be like, and just kind of be in their feelings about it. Like, I put in all this effort and.
I'm still blown away by the fact that people did downloaded the stems. Yeah. They did created remixes, and they sent in music, having I've never had that feeling before where I've heard people remixing my music. And so that power of having actually producers remix it and like sending in their work, and that interaction, to me, that was like powerful. And that was thanks to the blockchain, thanks to all of this crypto space. So music wise, I am planning on relaunching Love, but now it's going to be minted under my own smart contract with my own, like in my own smart contract. When I did it back then, I didn't use my own smart contract. I used the platform's smart contract. Yeah. And then when the platform rocked, that's when everything went downhill. But nowadays, the technology has advanced where now an artist can have a smart contract without having to code or pay someone to create that smart contract. Like that technology wasn't there when I minted that whole project. Now it's here. So now I can actually relaunch the project using the actual technology that I want to use, which is the split of the project on the blockchain equally.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's something that I'm, it's going to come probably by the end of the year. I'll relaunch the music project. And this summer, I'm focusing on the video mapping and showing people IRL in Mexico City what this whole thing is about. And we're gonna be videotaping that workshop, and we'll share more of that on
I
social media.
I have a workshop request, not necessarily for that, but just in general at any point in the future, for artists for performance for artists, performing artists, right? Who want to involve like live visuals, like how we can like go about doing that in a practical way, and like how to prepare stuff, like what software to use, how to prepare stuff, and like what to give to a venue, what to even talk to a venue about when it comes to like projection and visuals and all that. Like if I, as an artist, want to have some visuals like for my set, and I don't want to wait till I'm at Coachella to do so, like how could I like do it in a DIY like situation? Like how could I create my own? And this isn't necessarily a question you can answer it, but just like a workshop on that, like I think would be like I would love that.
We could do like an audiovisual workshop where
Yeah.
you can do the audio live elements,
Yeah.
and I'll do the video element, and we could do like a live AV example.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's also something that I've been advocating since forever. It's like every time you go to an event, you have great music and it's enjoyable. Like I love going to music events, but me as a visual artist, I'm always looking for, there could be a screen right there. We could use all of these TVs. Like I'm always looking for ways to improve the user experience, because I believe that giving more input to the user is just enhances the whole experience. And
Spatial experience is the future of audio and video,
Right.
And like visual, like it's gonna be like you walk into a room and you're in the experience.
right, and also there's like these VR 4D experiences, right?
That
Where
too.
like you have these like VR headsets, and then they sit you on a chair and it vibrates, or you can smell things like that whole.
That stuff I never got though. Like I've been to I went to like the Dragon Ball Z 4D Max, like whatever they call it, at a theater, and it was terrible. Like it didn't do the thing that I just gave it a chance. I was like, I didn't even intend on going to the movies that day. I was just like, I'm gonna just go to the theater by myself today, and there was a movie theater in the area. I had time to kill. I think that's what it was. I was on my way to work, and then I found out like they didn't need me that day, so I just had the day off, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna hang out by myself today. Went to a bookstore, and I just went to Union Square, went to the movie theater, and was like, oh, Dragon Ball Z in 4D Max, like sure, why not?
Are you a fan of Dragon Ball?
I mean, I grew up as a fan of Dragon Ball. I haven't really been tapped in a while, but in terms of like it just felt like I was watching a movie while just being like annoyed every now and then. It was like, oh shit. Like and then like it didn't. I know what it's intended to do, like make you feel like you're part of the experience, but I just felt like I was just being hit in the face with water and like very uncomfortably being on like a roller coaster while I'm trying to focus on a movie.
I think it might be like a hit and miss, experience. I just did the Tutankhamun's VR experience in Mexico last month, and I liked it. I don't like all of the VR experiences, but that one I did like. It was very educational.
It might be different with the actual goggles on though.
Yeah,
because then
I
you're
had the
surrounded, you're
goggles.
in it,
Right.
But when I'm looking at a screen, it's
That's a total different game.
Yeah.
Because with the VR experience I had the VR, and I was inside like an egg type of setting, and then you can turn around 360 and it vibrates, and it did felt like you were flying in the pyramids in Egypt. And it was very educational. So once again, I feel like the educational element is so important. Like I learned so much about the Egyptian culture just because it was very audiovisual enhanced. Like it was really cool. So bringing that into an AV set musically, I feel like that would be cool.
Yeah.
Giving like silent disco, but
Yeah.
instead of silent disco, it's VR headsets and like silent VR. That
got-
would be so cool.
I got to hook you up with a homie of mine who's starting his own like silent disco events.
Seriously, like having VR AV silent disco. Oh my gosh!
On the 15th of this month, he's doing like a silent disco train ride on the way to some venue where this event's happening. So like he'll start like in the evening on the event like is basically gonna happen like on the subway.
Oh, nice.
And as I understand it, Joey, don't kill me if I'm explaining this wrong, but he'll hand out like headsets to everyone, and they're gonna go on like a subway car and like
Party.
and party. He's a DJ, so he's
Nice.
gonna like DJ.
Yeah, let me
music
know when
for
that
everyone.
happens. I'll be able to. I'll be happy to come.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like the possibilities are endless because we are very early into this technology and we are not following any roadmap. As an artist using blockchain, NFTs, crypto art, we really have the freedom to use this technology however you please, and in community, which is actually really cool. So yeah, I would definitely, I keep my DMs open if anyone wants to learn more about this. Stay tuned for our upcoming AV workshop.
Nice. Yeah. I wouldn't have an interest doing that on my own, but for this purpose and with you, like I would do
for
it.
exploring and experimenting.
Yeah.
And then we can
And if I get the knowledge of how to like do some, implement visuals into my workflow, like that's a worthy trade-off.
Yeah.
I'll definitely gladly do a workshop for that.
Let's go.
For that return. But we do have to wrap up. I have to head out. But thank you for doing this.
Thank you for inviting me.
I could talk about all this stuff for hours. So
And I'm sure there's a lot of things that I probably left out.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's continue this conversation. And I'm happy to.
And you're welcome back in the future, of course. So maybe there'll be a part 2. Like, yeah.
Thank you. Hopefully we didn't bore anyone here. Oopsie. I enjoyed myself. I liked it.
Yeah.
Maybe like we illustrate some of these, conversations. I can share some videos or images. If you wanna like
that'll be a first, but
illustrate.
I'm open. I'm always open.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much, Serge.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.